Hey everybody, this is Jason at the DVE store. I'm here today with the Roland V-1HD high definition video switcher. It's a compact little unit, has 4 HDMI inputs. It looks deceptively simple, but this thing has quite a bit of power and control built into it. We've got some menus we're going to delve into. We're going to go through them, and I won't go into excruciating detail on every possible function, but you'll get a really good idea of what this thing can do and if it's going to work for you. I can see it working really great for high school sports, for live bands, theater, houses of worship, for services. This could be a great little unit for those types of scenarios. I'm going to show you what I've got plugged in and how I've done it and how I'm recording this, and just kind of the whole layout, and also some other options. I've got some nice little gizmos over here we'll talk about. It's a real life review. I mean, it's a hands-on here, so bear with me, and I think you're gonna learn some good things. If there's something, if there's a question I don't answer, then by all means please put it in the comments. I'm going to keep an eye on those and do what I can to help you answer any questions. So I've got my 4 inputs. The input 1 is my overhead camera. I've got a Panasonic GH4 just overhead here to get a downward shot of kind of the whole table here and what I've got. And then I've got my little PC netbook here, which has an HDMI output port. That's coming into input 2. We can switch to that so I can show you that really quickly. Input 3 is actually my iPod. So I have a little lightning to HDMI adapter that's running into input 3. And then input 4 is my MacBook Pro, and I just have a QuickTime Player looping a video of Megan, her music video. There's actually no audio to this at all, but 4 sources running in, so here we are. Now as far as output, I've got the program out going into this Atomos Ninja Assassin. So it's recording everything that I'm switching, everything that I'm outputting is showing up on the screen here, so, and being recorded in high definition. Now this is a little overkill because this does 4K now, but the Roland V-1HD is purely an HD switcher. It does not do 4K. Just want to make that clear. The nice thing about the Ninja line is that they do a pass-through, so you can take your HDMI output as you're recording your switch program, the live output, you can send to a encoding streaming device, such as the Teradek VidiU or the Livestream Broadcast Pro. These boxes are basically identical, the difference being that the Livestream only works with that service. The Teradek will work with Livestream, Ustream, or YouTube, so there's a few more options with that. As far as inputting, again, this only takes in HDMI. If I switch to input 3, you can see the back side of the panel here. We've got 2 outputs, output and preview, our 4 HDMI inputs there. Now, so if you've got HDMI cameras, you can plug these right in, although you can run into an issue if the cameras need to be far away. You might not be able to run the HDMI cable that far without degrading the signal seriously. So there are some options, and I've got a couple of them here, and that is converting the HDMI to SDI, because SDI you can go a good couple hundred feet without an issue. So here's a couple different converters, one by Blackmagic Design, another by AJA, that will convert from HDMI to SDI to give you that distance. You got to convert back once you get to the switcher, because again, this only takes in HDMI, so you need something like this, which is the little Atomos box, which will go SDI to HDMI, and at that point you'd go into your switcher. Another option for long cable runs from a camera or another HDMI video source is the Roland HT-TX01 and HT-RX01. The first is a transmitter that converts the HDMI signal for transmission over Ethernet cable, and the receiver converts it back to HDMI. The benefit is that the necessary Cat5e or better Ethernet cable is less expensive than an equivalent length SDI cable. And the converters themselves are a bit more affordable than the HDMI SDI converters. So on a 200-foot cable run, it looks like you could save a couple $100. I'll put links for all these devices in the description if you'd like to explore them further. And while we're talking about converters and switchers, I just want to mention this Decimator design, MDHX. This is like the Swiss Army knife of cross converters and little DAs. It's got HDMI input, and you can then take that and it converts it and outputs SDI, and you can do multiple outputs. So if you have multiple sources that you need to feed via SDI, you can do that here, like a little distribution amp. You can also input SDI and output HDMI, so it converts in the other direction as well. And there's just a lot of functionality here in the menus. It's just a powerful little box. Again, just kind of like a little Swiss Army knife if you're doing this kind of thing. It's very handy to have. Let's get back to our back panel here again, and this is coming from my iPod, and I'm just using my finger to scroll around on this image. It's like live Ken Burns pan and zoom. It's not very smooth, but it's kind of fun to be able to interact with the image in this way and see it up on the preview monitor. So we've also got audio outs and audio ins, analog RCAs you can see there. Let's scoot over to the other end here. 3 format options, 1080p, 1080i, and 720p. I've got my mixer here set to 1080p. Our power input comes with a wall wart. We've got a USB port, and there's some software that comes with the mixer. I'll just jump out and show you a screenshot of that software. Here it is. So you got a lot of control here, all the same controls that are on the physical device, as well as more that are all right there at the click of a button. There might be cases where you prefer this to the actual physical control panel, so you've got those options. I for one really like this control panel. It's nicely made. It's got a nice brushed aluminum faceplate. I'm not sure what material the bottom is. I don't think it's metal, but it's a very thick, dense material. The whole thing has some nice weight to it. The buttons are kind of rubbery feeling, but yet they're translucent because you can see these lights through them. But the whole thing has a really nice feel to it. So it's fun to get your hands on this. So let's go ahead and jump into the audio menu to start off with, and we've got a little audio button here. So we just push that once, and bam, there we are. The menu shows up on the preview monitor, which is nice because you can change things in the menu while you're outputting from your program and not have to worry about the menu showing up on that. As you can see, we can just set our levels for each HDMI input for audio. So HDMI audio 1, that's my camera overhead. I don't want audio coming through there, so I just pulled that down to 0. My other sources actually don't have audio coming in, so I didn't bother changing those. And you'll see that the audio follow setting is set to off, which means that any audio input that I have into the mixer is going to be all the time. So, and in this case, all I have going in is the mic, so that works great because I don't want the audio to change as I switch my sources. So that's how I have it set now. Our master out level, and again we can just control this with the T fader here. Probably don't need over 100. Let's crank it back down. Mic level, again, that'll have the same effect since that's the only audio source that we're dealing with right now. And so lots of control here. Just wait till you see the rest of this. So we've got all kinds of frequency adjustments that we can make for audio for HDMI input 1. We're going to cruise through those. Input 2, input 3, input 4. I'm just holding the transform button down to move through these really quickly. Oh, and there's delay on each of these inputs as well. So depending on what you're outputting to, your audio and video might be taking separate paths, and so that may not be matching up. Well, you can delay your audio to match those two sources up. That's something that's just really essential to have. All the same controls for your audio inputs on the back panel there I showed you, the RCA inputs. And these are all controls for the microphone input, which is what you're hearing right now. I'm actually recording this through the mixer and into the Atomos Ninja Assassin. So if we crank down the high frequencies, you can see that they're now not in my voice any longer. We can crank them up, and boy, we can really hear that sibilance. I won't speak any parcel tongue because that would just be painful right now. So we'll crank it back down to 0. How about? Okay. So again, full control over all the frequencies, and again, our delay function. Compressor. It only affects anything above the level that you set here. So anything above -12 will be affected by the compressor. Compression ratio, we can tweak that. Go through all these different options you can see. Attack and release. There's a microphone gate, so you can hear the difference when I turn this on. You can see that when I'm not talking, it gets totally quiet because it's cutting out all the background noise. Anything under -36 dB. Go ahead and turn that off, but we've got the threshold there we can adjust, and the gate release in milliseconds. We've got the mic high pass filter to filter out any troubling, rumbling, low frequencies we need to get rid of. And again, just all these controls for the main output. And we've got reverb. We can crank up the level, although we don't have a lot of reverb time right now, so it sounds really close. But if I crank it up to 5, suddenly it sounds like I'm in an isolation chamber. Help me! I don't know what it is about reverb. I could play with that forever, pretty much. A lot of mastering options for the overall sound that's coming out. Again, we can set this, the audio to follow just the audio input, if that's what we want. So it's gonna stay on the audio in no matter what we switch to. But that's not what we want right now. Audio follow mic. Didn't need to do that this time either, just because the only audio source I had was the camera and I just turned it down. So a lot of control. We're going to get out of the audio menu. We're going to go into the setup menu. So we're going to press the setup button, hold it for 2 seconds, and boom, here we are on the setup menu, page 1. Beats per minute. We can adjust this depending on how fast we want that to go, and we can set the video to actually switch to the beats per minute automatically, which could be cool in some situations. This is a good thing to talk about, the HDCP. So it's like the copyright protection they put on Blu-ray movies. Well, if you turn that on, you can actually feed, for instance, a Blu-ray movie into it, the mixer, as a source, and then feed it out as long as you have a device on the other end which is HDCP compatible. So you got to have that compatibility all the way through, and this option lets you turn it on for the V-1HD. Output contrast. Let me just show you how this looks on the output. Okay. Turn down the contrast and then turn up the contrast. Let's turn this back down to 0 and keep going. Color space options depending on what device you're outputting to. You may want to change those. Auto works most of the time, just kind of plug and play. You can change the settings on your preview output as well to your liking. Picture-in-picture options, border size and color. You can change auto scan for switching your inputs automatically. AB mode, this is just a mode that affects the panel here and how it functions. So in program preset mode, your program, so whatever is live is going to always be on the A bus on top here. And whatever your preset is, whatever you're going to switch to next, whichever input is always going to be on the B bus. But then as soon as you switch, it's still, your live is going to be indicated on top and your preset's going to be indicated on the bottom. So it just it sets it up so it just stays that way. Now if you switch it to AB mode, it's going to switch back and forth. So when you transition, your live video is going to show up on the B video bus and your preset will then be on the A bus. So it just depends on how you want to use it, how you want to view it. Hopefully that makes sense to you. I kind of like having it, my live video always show up on the top and my preset always on the bottom. It just, for me, it makes it a little easier to track it. Freeze mode, some other signal stuff here, deinterlace mode, we've got bob and weave, color bar output, boom, there we go. For testing purposes, test tone output we can do as well, pretty nice. Here's all the MIDI stuff for you MIDI geeks. I know there's people out there that are excited by that. You can set presets. You can store up to 8 presets, so 8 setups, menu setups for the mixer. And then you can tell it which one of those saved presets, 1 through 8, that you want to load when you power on the mixer. So that's pretty cool. The LEDs, actually, you can change the colors. So if you take a look at that, pretty cool. You can decide if you want the input LEDs on or off. If it's set to on, then anytime you have an active input, then that number is going to be lit up in white. Transformer LEDs on or off. So a lot of control here. Your audio LED here, you can tell it what you want it to indicate. So it's telling me now that I have a master output level, that there's something coming out. If I switch that to mic, it still shows up because that's the audio that I'm inputting. If I go to audio in, suddenly there's no indication of a signal because I don't have anything going in to the audio input. Effects type change, so that allows you to change your effects by using the knobs on the board here without going into the menu. Same with your transitions. Frame rates, 2 available, 59, 94, and 50. Factory reset, and your firmware version. And that is a run through of the setup menu. The only menu we've got left that we haven't looked at is the memory menu. So we've got 2 effects buses, one on the A video bus, one on the B video bus. Oh, just for fun, let's do a white Luma key on the effects A bus. We'll go to our input 4, and then input 2, our web background, will be the background for this effect. So if we turn that on, keys out the white, because we've done a Luma key, and so there she is in front of the website. She looks good on our website. That's just one of the many effects that you can do. Again, as soon as I hit A, the effect goes away. So here we go. We're wiping back and forth, and look at this. We just happen to be seeing the DVE store page where we have the Roland V-1HD coming up for sale. Expected release date December 18th. That's the day that Star Wars is coming out, of course. Look, wipe, Star Wars. You got it? Nice. But that's not all. That is not all. As you recall, the planet Alderaan was destroyed by the Death Star, and that Death Star, that deadly blast, was operated not by a wipe, but by a T-bar fader, just like this one. There's a lot of power in that little bar. So if you have any additional questions that I didn't answer here, I'm sure there are many. I'll do what I can to answer those for you. Go ahead and post them in the comments below. It'd be great if you would like this video and subscribe to our channel. We're going to have a lot of other content on brand new products that are coming out, and going to do our best to really help people understand how to use them. And that's the great thing about the DVE store, is we're really into customer service. We want to help you make better video.